Good evening.
My name is Anjali Singh and I am pursuing my BA in Economics Honours from Banaras Hindu University.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where are
Hardik,
you
please
from?
open your camera as well. Hardik Lad, please open your camera.
Anjali, where are you from?
So I am from Patna.
You are from Patna. Okay, fine. Excellent. And Hardik, can you tell me a little about yourself, please? Hardik, can you hear me? Hardik. I think we don't, Hardik hasn't joined us yet. Hardik, can you hear me, please? Hardik, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Sir, you,
Hardik, your mic has been muted. Please open your mic,
sir,
Hardik.
I'm in. Sir, I'm open my mic.
No, but it's mute, na. See, just click the mute button. You're on mute. Your mic is muted, Hardik, so I can't hear you.
Sir, hear my voice?
Yes. Tell me a little
Sorry.
bit, what are you doing now?
Myself, Hardik Lal, currently working as a accountant in a trader.
You're working as a?
Accountant in trader.
Fine. And where are you based?
Gujarat, Vapi.
Now that we have the primary introductions, actually it's good for us to become a little, like relaxed with each other, because we will be meeting, I think, every weekend from now on for the next 4 months. I'm just hoping that, I'll be able to sort of take you through, 3 basic areas, a bit of finance, a bit of financial planning, and then finally a bit of financial statements. So there are 3 things which we are hoping to cover in the course. So what I will do today is I will first of all take you through, give you a short overview of the course and show you what exactly we will be studying in the days to come. And after that, we will start with the first unit. Am I audible to all of you? All?
Yes, sir.
It's great. We have one more person, Leena. Leena. Lena's. It's Lena. Hello, Sulakhe, is it? How do I pronounce your name? Can you just introduce yourself, please? I guess Lena is. Okay. Let me share my screen with you and let me just take you through, the first, the Subir Nandi, excellent. Subir, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Right. Excellent. So we now have Anjali, Harsha, Yashvi isn't here today, Hardik, Lena, and you, Subir. So there are 6 of us. I just wanted to introduce the course to you first. Like I told you in the beginning, we will be, basically looking at 3 things. The first is, the part which is on finance itself. It's basically, you take any financial management course, you will find things on strategy, on corporate objective, a bit of, the actual working of finance through capital structure and dividend policy and things like that. And then one part of finance which is essential, that is valuation. So we will have, these are the 4 units which we will be actually having in finance. So let me just take you through these. In unit 1, we will look at corporate strategy. Don't worry if you don't understand many of these words. You may or you may not. If you have any issues with any of the terms here, we will have ample opportunity to actually look at these in detail as we begin to do the course. Meanwhile, all I want you to do is just understand these are the things which we will be actually looking at. So first is we look at strategy, diversification, and value creation. So there are 2 words there, diversification, and how diversification can lead to an increase in value. What is value? Obviously, we are speaking in terms of the monetary value, not of one person, but of a company as a whole. We'll get to that. And then we'll speak about business level strategies, business models. There are things like value chains, value proposition, e-commerce models. All these things we will do with the help of practical examples, actual working, how companies today have actually performed, how they have achieved what they have achieved. We'll look at those things. And I'm sure that by the time we end, you will have a very good idea about what corporate strategy is and how different companies are able to actually, do well in this area. Similarly, where the strategy is bad, where something has gone wrong, where you read the market wrongly, or you are unable to control your costs, things can go in an entirely different direction. The second part which we do is corporate objective. Now, corporate broadly, just understand corporate to mean a registered company. So what is the reason why a company exists? What is its main objective? So there is a debate on this. And basically this chapter is about that. Is it about creation of wealth? Is it about profit? Is it about, bringing value to all stakeholders? So that whole area we will look at in some detail. And then we come to something which is very, very, what shall I say, every company is expected to have a CSR policy, a corporate social responsibility policy. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about this concept of a triple bottom line. So triple bottom line basically is that a company is free to grow its own bottom line, but it has to look after the interests of environment and society also. And because unless if it's not looking after after the environment, after society, then that means basically that the company is not really doing something good. The third part is strategic financing decisions. Here we look, first of all, we'll spend some time on these basic financial principles. So there are some very basic stuff in finance, like the equimarginal principle, opportunity cost, the time value of money, many things here which you should understand if you are to understand finance properly. And we'll have a look at all this. And then we'll have a look at this capital structure. We had spoken a little about this in the introductory classes. And then go on to dividend policy and firm value. Why do a company buy back their shares? How does it affect the value of the company? And then the last unit on finance will be on valuation. Valuation of bonds and shares, bond yields. This part here is something which you may find this very interesting. It looks very dry. How do you value a company? How do you know that a certain company is worth 300 crores? Why is it not worth 400? Why is it not worth 200? What are the ways of understanding this? So I promise to keep this at a level where you have a minimum of numbers. Like I had promised in the when we were having those introductory classes, that we will try to stay clear of numbers so that your focus is on the conceptual part of finance. So this is the part on finance, first part. The second part is on something which is not pure finance, but this is financial planning. And here, whatever we have here, this is going to be very relevant for you. Not just if you decide to get into wealth management, this area is going to be very, very helpful. Otherwise, it will be helpful for you even in the management of your personal finances. So we'll have a complete overview of financial planning and wealth management, risk and return, introduction, life cycle analysis, asset classes. We'll have all that part. That will be the first unit. We'll go on, have a detailed discussion on insurance. At some point of time, you will need to buy insurance. Those of you who are working probably already have insurance. So do you have the right policy or not? How do you, what do you think insurance is for? What is the purpose of insurance? So we discuss that. And then we look at mutual funds. Mutual funds as an asset class. We look at that part, and equities as an asset class, and then alternate asset classes. So we will be understanding. You see, one thing when you look at this, the different things that we're doing here, mutual funds, equities, alternate asset classes, what you can see is that these are the places where you will actually invest your money. This is where you invest your money. And if you understand what each of these are properly, you will be able to basically invest in a better way. And you will also learn in the process about how to advise others in this process. So that's one part. And then the last part here is financial statements and analysis. So this is an area which, if you were to look at any newspaper today, digital newspaper, and you look at the financial results of a company, and if you find the balance sheet there and you find a profit and loss account out there, how do you read it? How do you understand what it actually means? What does a balance sheet show? What does a profit and loss account show? What is a cash flow statement? What is the concept of financial ratio? How do we analyze these statements? What are these different types of ratios, and how do they help us to understand the financial working of a company better? So we will be actually looking at all these when we look at this section. And then we look at operating cycle and working capital. That is, again, a very important part of the whole understanding how a company manages its finances. So we look at manufacturing concerns and trading concerns. We'll have a look at negative working capital, importance of working capital management, sources of short-term funds, etc. So one thing I'll request all of you is keep your cameras on, please. Keep your cameras on so that I can see you. And the other part is that please, interact. So I have shown you so far what we are going to do. If there are any questions, anything which you'd like to discuss, please tell me that. So that that way it will be easier to actually proceed. Anjali and Hardik.
Sir, I am on traveling right now, so I can.
Fine,
Uh,
fine. It's okay, Hardik. It's okay. When you reach, you can do it. And so I think Harsha, Subir, Anjali, and Hardik. Okay, fine. Excellent. Any questions, anyone? Any comments? Anything to ask about this? Subir, you're very quiet today.
So I'm in the office.
Okay. As we go through the course, see today's class, when we look at it, we will be, like discussing corporate strategy, and at some point, I'll try to explain to you through examples. Examples of different companies, how they have actually, gone about planning the way they run their business. And in these, when we discuss this, now when I tell you about it, please ask questions, or at least let me have your impressions. What you think about what I'm saying, or what you think about the company policy. That way, what will happen is it will be easier for me to understand whether I'm making a point or not, and your own doubts will also they will also be addressed. So that is important. Okay, then in that case, I think we will start. So here's our first, coming to our first slide here. And here we go. So my first question is, what is strategy? From your own understanding so far, can anyone answer this? Whatever you understand. It may not be the exactly correct answer or something, but it doesn't matter. I just want to know what is your understanding of this word strategy. Don't think right now in terms of business. Just think of the word strategy.
An outlook of how things are going to happen.
An outlook of how things are going to happen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Something to do about in the future. What you basically mean is what is going to happen in the future.
Yes, sir.
Now, okay, anyone else? You're partly correct, Anjali. There's one more point there. Subir, क्या है भाई strategy?
Strategy to it's a process of corporate how to what happen to the in future.
I can't hear you so well, Subir. I think you'll have to arrange it a little bit.
Audible?
Now it's better.
Yes, sir. So the strategy is it's a process of corporate for any organization.
कोई बात नहीं. We'll get to that. Harsh.
Anyone to start, we need a strategy, like how to do that work and all, how to complete that work.
Okay, how to do the work. Okay, fine. Yeah. So let's look at it. Look at this simple definition. A plan of action, so like designed for a long-term goal. So Anjali, you were talking about the future. Subir, you were thinking in terms of corporate. So basically, it is a plan of action designed for a long-term goal. So there is some goal which you have in mind. I want to achieve this milestone. I want to reach this place. So today I am, let's say I have a business. Its value today, let's say, is 10 crores. I want to double my business. Let's say this is my goal. Then I make a plan about how I'm going to do this. So I call this plan my strategy. So the first thing about strategy is it has to be about the future. Then, is it the same as plan? Is it just another word for plan? Anjali, what do you think? Is it the same as plan or is it a little more than plan? Something very specific.
As per I think strategy is the whole function of planning, and a plan is just one unit of strategy.
Okay, that's fair enough. You're pretty close to it. Anything to add, anyone? Subir or Harsha?
Plan are similar way, like plan is like today's plan of action, like that they do.
Ah.
But strategy is like for future, end of the goal.
Perfect. Huh? Now see what the only main difference here is that a plan can be made for a goal we want to achieve immediately. It may not, necessarily be very futuristic. In the concept of strategy, you're looking at a future goal, sometime in the distant future. This is where we want to actually reach. Like you can plan, for example, to drive from, let's say I'm currently in a place called Lavasa. I want to drive to Pune. I can plan, I can plan, I'll go by bus, I'll go by car, I'll stop at so-and-so place, I'll do these things. But when we talk about strategy, it is something more complex. That's the first thing to remember out here. And then other part is when we think of strategy, we are thinking generally in general terms. It's not very detailed. But based on that strategy, when we make a plan, the plan becomes very, very detailed. We begin to look at things, each and every little component, which can help us to achieve the goal that we have. So just keep those two things in mind. You have a broad idea of what strategy is. Now, let us try to connect this with our, the main part here. What is corporate strategy? So the first question here is, what is a corporation? Anyone? See, the word corporate is coming from corporation. Huh? So what exactly is a corporation?
A corporation is something which is a unite of small businesses which came together to earn profit.
Many businesses coming together.
Yes.
It sounds like that, Anjali, but basically, a corporation is just a company. Basically, a corporation is a company registered with the registrar of companies and is generally run by a board of directors acting on behalf of the owners. It is a distinct legal entity. Suppose the four of you out here, Harsha, Subir, Anjali, and Hardik, all four of you decide to start a company. You have a certain goal, you write the memorandum of association, this is what we want to do. And then you come out with what are known as articles of association about how to run the company. And then when everything is ready, you go to the registrar of company, look, we want to register our company. So you're in Patna, there's a registrar of companies in Patna. Hardik is in Gujarat. The registrar of companies in Gujarat would probably be in Ahmedabad, if I'm not mistaken. In Jharkhand, it would be in Ranchi. So in each state capital, there would be a registrar of companies. Now, what is a registrar of companies? In a very simple way, anybody who wants to start a company, he comes with the documents, goes to the registrar, and the registrar looks at the name, makes sure the name is not a copy of some other company's name. The name is unique. Looks at who are the members, how much capital each one proposes to put up, looks at what exactly these people want to do, and then he registers them. He puts them on the list of companies in the state. The moment that registration takes place, you have become a corporation. Okay, so the first thing here is, when I think of a corporation, I am thinking in terms of a registered company. First thing, it's very simple. The second part is, once I have registered a company, it is going to be run not by me alone. I may be the main mover in the company. Let's say that Narayan Murthy set up Infosys. But Narayan Murthy is not going to run or never ran Infosys alone. See, what will happen is that it has to be run by a board of directors. That means some of you, let's say the 4 of you are here, all 4 of you will form the board. You will be members of this board of directors. And all 4 of you will generally take decisions acting together. One of you is going to become the chairman. Somebody else may look after finance. Somebody may look after marketing. That's a different thing. But the board will be basically working for the benefit of the company and will be taking decisions. Then you might hire a CEO. Let's say that you people have no experience in actually running a company. You've just arranged some money and you started it. In that case, what will happen is you will hire, let's say, somebody who can actually run the company, and you make him, let's say, the CEO of the company or the managing director of the company. So you are the owner, he will be the manager. And he will manage the company in the interests of the owners of the company. So he will report to you. Where will he report to you? There will be meetings of these board of directors. You will come there. He will come there and he'll put up reports. So that is how a company is actually run. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes,
Subir?
sir.
Subir, you clear on this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Harsha, I'm sure you don't have any issues with this.
No, sir.
Let's take, for example, the example of a new company. You start a new company. When you start the company, you will find that it has a vision. You will have to think of a vision. Vision means, where do you want to go in the future? Where do you see yourself in the future? Let's say 5 years from today, 10 years from today, this is where I want to be. Let's say that I set up a company today and I'm like in the medical field, and I want to be the best medical services provider. Subir is from Jharkhand in that line. So let's say that I want to be the best medical service provider in Jharkhand. Or I want to be the best financial firm in, let's say, in Andhra Pradesh. Guntur is Andhra Pradesh, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Actually, ever since you guys got bifurcated into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, it becomes difficult to remember which is which.
Before it is Andhra Pradesh only, now also it is Andhra.
Okay.
Telangana has Hyderabad.
Then once you're clear on this vision thing. Now I'll give you examples, you'll see where we are. Company also has a mission. So what is the purpose for which it was created? And it will have details about what this company actually proposes to do. So if you go to Google and let's say you try to type these words, the vision of a company, you'll find there are lots and lots of examples. So to explain this to you, I also took the help of Google and I got this from Amazon. So let's just look at this. This is the vision of Amazon. It says that our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Customer-centric means a company which is focused entirely on its customers. To build a place where people can discover anything they might want to buy online. Now you tell me, have they achieved this? Do you think they have achieved this part? If normally, if you want to buy something, you take my case. I'm sitting in this small hill station, Lavasa, which has a very small population. It hardly has any, big shop. Only necessities are available out here. If I want something, anything at all, normally I would go to Amazon and I would type and I'll see about what is available. As far as I am concerned, they have achieved this vision. Because anything I can think of, I find there are sellers of that thing when I go to Amazon, there are some sellers who are registered to sell that. So this is the vision which Amazon started with. When it started, what was it actually selling? Anybody knows? No. It started by selling books. Only books. I have seen those days when Amazon simply meant that if you want to buy an online book, you would basically go to Amazon and look for that. And you would be able to get that book from Amazon. Flipkart also originally started with books. But then these people, their vision was not to just stay with books. The vision was that we begin to sell each and every product that it is possible to sell on the internet. And for that, they began that process of registering sellers and buyers. So when we become, become customers of Amazon, and we, let's say, become a member of Amazon, we have our own specific customer ID, we are the buyers. And similarly, the sellers do the same, and we get together. This was the vision. What was the mission? To serve consumers through online and physical stores and focus on selection, price, convenience. So selection means if you type the name of any product into the website in Amazon, you'll find that there are a number of companies which are selling that product. There are a number of options that you have, each number of brands that are available, and you can then pick which one do I really want. You can pick on the basis of how good the product is. You can pick on the basis of the price of the product, and it's very convenient. All you have to do is, if you're satisfied with the price, if you're satisfied with the description of the product, you can very easily order the product. So it's very convenient. So this is the mission and this is the vision. So this is one company. Similarly, so what I would like you people to do is take a minute. All of you have a net connection there, no problem?
Yes, sir.
So take the name of any company and just find out the vision and the mission of that company. Anjali, can you do that? Harsha?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Subir?
Yes, sir.
Just take any company. Let's say that Subir, I would suggest, why don't you take Apollo Hospitals and see what they have. Harsha, you pick something. You're a banker. Pick a bank. Pick a bank and see where you can get with that. Sashikant, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
You've come a little late, so we have just started.
Oh, sir. Actually, I am on the way, sir. I am not. I have not reached in my home. After 10 or 20 minutes, I will be reached there.
No problem. No problem. You continue. We'll be able to revise this later on.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Anybody who has found that mission or vision, can you just read out?
मेरा क्लास स्टार्ट हो गया हमसे.
Axis Bank vision is that to be the preferred financial services providing, excelling in customer service, delivering through insight, empowered employees, and smart use of technology.
Which company is this?
Axis Bank.
Axis Bank. Okay. And does it also have a mission?
Its mission is mission. Their mission is that Axis Bank mission is to be preferred financial solutions, providing excelling in customer delivery through various.
Okay, fine. So broadly speaking, would you agree that Axis Bank is following this, whatever they have?
Broadly
See,
speaking,
is it following this? Whatever this particular vision it has and this mission it has, whatever Axis Bank is doing today, we broadly know that Axis Bank is providing us with lots of financial services. It has a fairly big branch network. So
yes,
would you agree that it is working in accordance with its vision?
yes, sir, it is following it.
It is. Huh? So that means that the mission here and vision is guiding its working. It is guiding the strategy. That is the point I'm trying to make. Anjali, which company did you take?
I took Reliance
Reliance. Okay. What is the vision for Reliance?
to achieve global best practices and become a world-class utility.
Become a world-class
Utility.
utility. Okay. And the mission?
Mission is to provide service was to achieve excellence in service, quality, reliability, safety, and customer care.
Okay. So it is not mentioning an area. What it does. Okay, so it's very general in that way. Subir, have you got anything from Apollo or?
Yes. Yes, sir, Apollo. Apollo.
What is the mission there for Apollo?
Sir, mission is that our mission is to bring healthcare of international standards within the reach of every individual. We are committed to the achievement and maintenance of excellence in education, research, and healthcare for the benefit of humanity.
Okay. To bring healthcare of international standards within the reach of every individual, we are committed to the achievement and maintenance of excellence in education, research, and healthcare for the benefit of humanity.
For the benefit of
So,
humanity.
So basically, you can see that what they want to do is make medical services available for every individual. This is the vision. So if you want to do this, it basically means that you will have to expand the hospital and make it so big, have so many units that you are able to serve everybody who you possibly can. That is the broad vision. Now, if you look at the mission of this, the mission statements, they don't really have a separate mission statement. I think. What they have done is they have combined the vision and mission into this one place. But broadly, Subir, would you agree that Apollo is following this? This is where it wants to be.
Yes, sir.
I think Subir has not heard us. But
Sir,
see,
yes, sir.
So Apollo अपने विजन के हिसाब से ही काम कर रहा है ना.
Yes, sir. Apollo का vision है, sir. Apollo's vision for the next phase of development is to touch a billion lives. Sir, yes, sir. Apollo इसी हिसाब से काम करता है.
Excellent. So basically, as you can see, the vision and mission is giving a roadmap to the board of directors कि आप लोगों को काम इसी डायरेक्शन में काम करना है. You have to work in this direction. Now that we have an idea about, see, so the first stage in setting a corporate strategy is this. Where do we start? We start with finding out what is the vision and mission is, and then the board of directors then knows what it has to work for. So this is the first part. Now, let us look at this in a little more structured way. Let's look at. So the corporate strategy that a company has, it is answering one fundamental question. How do we use the resources of the company to achieve its goals as set out in the vision and mission statements? So in each case, whether it was Reliance, which Anjali found, or whether it was Axis Bank, or whether it was Apollo, or whether it was Amazon, the example I gave you, in each case, we found that, broadly speaking, they were putting forth some goal. This is where we want to be in the days to come. And when they put this goal, when the company begins to start working, it gives them a sense of direction. This is exactly how we can proceed. The next part is, you see, the company has a lot of resources. It has financial resources. It has physical resources. Lots of things are there. The question is, how do you use these resources in a way in which you are able to achieve this goal? That's the basic purpose. And then how do we use the resources to create a competitive advantage for the company? So here we are coming to a new word. Resources part is simple. Huh? So the company has lots of resources. There are financial resources, human resources, physical resources. There can be intellectual property, lots of resources that a company has. Board of directors, what is the task for them? To use all these resources and make sure that the resources are used in a good way to achieve the goal that they have. Now, when they do this, they also have to make sure that the company does it better than other companies. Only then, see, it's a competition. If, let's say that Axis Bank is operating there, but along with Axis Bank, HDFC Bank is also there. ICICI Bank is also there. So if Axis Bank is going to achieve its vision, it is also necessary that Axis Bank should be able to provide services which are in some respect better than HDFC, or at least as good as HDFC. And if it is better, then the likelihood is that they will do better. They will be able to get more customers. They will be able to expand their bank more and ultimately earn more profit. So how do I create this position where I am better than my competitors? That is the concept of competitive advantage. Now, the competitive advantage can come from many areas. When we look at the stories of different companies, we'll be able to understand this better. Okay. Now, strategy, it says it should consider three factors. First is the resources, what we mentioned. The second is the capability and competency of the company. Third is the opportunities that the company has given its resources and competencies. So these three things, board, when it is making the strategy, will consider all these things. It's making this long-term plan, how to use the resources. So it will look at what resources it has, what are its capabilities, what are the opportunities. With these resources, what can I achieve? Where can I go with this? And what is the risk that the company faces? Remember, when a company is formed, the money of many people is involved in running this company. You have invested. There are other shareholders who have also invested in the company. So the board of directors has a responsibility to all of them. So the question is, how does it actually run the company in a way where the risk is at a manageable level. Because if the risk is not at a manageable level, then what will happen is that the company may fail, and in which case there is going to be a huge loss for everyone concerned. Companies which have not understood the risk, companies which have failed. I'll give you one simple example, very famous one these days, that is Kingfisher Airlines. You know, there was a time when Kingfisher Airlines was considered to be the best luxury airline in the Indian skies. If you really wanted to have a great trip and enjoy a great meal, you know, almost 5-star facilities in the air, you would go to Kingfisher Airlines. But somewhere they got it wrong. When they began to do these things, they suddenly found that they are running into loss, and gradually the situation became so bad that the airline actually collapsed. So the risk is always there. The greatness of the board of directors is to manage to run the company profitably despite all the risks, despite the competition which is there in the company. Okay. Now, once the strategy has been made, then you proceed to the planning stage. That means you get into working the details. You make a strategy, and we'll see how this, this distinction between the planning and the strategy, as we look at examples. Right now, I'm just trying to give you the fundamental structure of strategy. And then we'll begin to look at examples. It'll be easier to understand in that case. Am I very clear up till now? Any questions? Anjali, can't hear you.
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, fine. Okay. So we come to this concept of comparative advantage. So like I said, for a company to succeed, it should have an advantage over the other players who are its competitors. So remember, your competitors are selling the goods or services to the same customers. So any company you think of today, it will be operating in a market where there are many competitors. All are there. So the idea is to have an advantage over the competition. Now, the advantage that the company has, it depends on its resources, capabilities, and competencies. Now, we'll understand these words a little better. So resources are a business's assets. First, you have the physical resources, intellectual resources, human resources, financial resources. So in physical resources, can you think of something, anyone? What are the physical resources of the company?
Plants and machinery.
Okay, good.
Raw material.
Raw material, it has to buy from somewhere normally. So it will not actually be having the raw material. The physical resources, like you're saying, is the plant and machinery, the factory building, the tools and equipment. So depending on which line the company is actually operating in, it will have all the assets which are necessary for that particular line. So if it is, let's say, a service industry, it may have, a whole bank of computers. If it is, let's say, in the line of banking, the physical assets will basically be, the assets in banking would not be in the form of plant and machinery. Rather, they would be premises, safes, furnitures and fixtures, that sort of thing. Places where customers can come and interact. That part. Intellectual resources. What examples can you think of?
Business strategies.
No, intellectual resources in the sense of some actual resource. IP. What is IP? Intellectual property. Think in terms of, for example, let's take a software company. Okay, so it may have proprietary software programs, which are the main source for them, right? It may have proprietary software programs. For example, if you go to, okay, let's take this. We go to Amazon. So whenever you shop on Amazon, and if you, let's say, do repeated shopping on Amazon, doesn't it give you suggestions? The customers who bought this also bought these. Based on your previous purchases, you should buy this. You have seen those messages there. No? So obviously, Amazon has algorithms, certain software which is available with it, where they are able to read your spending patterns and make helpful suggestions to you. Now, where is it getting this? It is using the data which it has based on what you buy, and then it is using that to give you a suggestion. Now, that particular software that it has been developed specifically for Amazon. It is not available in the market. That is something which it has, and that something is an intellectual resource for it. It's an intellectual property. Take another example. In the pharmaceutical industry, you have medicine. So each and every drug that you have, each and every tablet that you buy is normally patented. There is a patent. And that patent means that this company has the exclusive right to manufacture that particular medicine and sell it to you. No other company can do that. And that is again an intellectual resource. Third, the easier one is human resource. So a human resource, of course, would be the people who work in that company. You know, Narayan Murthy had a very nice way of putting it. He said that the only assets that I have are my people. I have no other assets. See, it's basically a company which was providing services. So he said that I don't have any other asset except the people who work there. So the human resources, the human assets that I have, those are my complete assets. Everything else that I have, the physical assets and all that, they are very, very insignificant compared to the actual assets that I have in terms of the people who work in my company. And then, of course, there will be the financial resources, the capital that it has, that sort of thing. Now, so that's one. Now let's look at capabilities. Capabilities basically means that you have the ability to exploit these assets. So I have plant and machinery. Can I make quality products? I have, let's say, a hospital. Can I give great medical, can I give excellent medical treatment to the patients who come there? I have intellectual property. Am I able to use that? Let's say I'm a drug company and I have a patented medicine. Am I able to manufacture that medicine in sufficient quantities to get the most out of the market? The human resources. Am I able to deploy my people in the right place at the right time so as to get the best out of them? So, you know, your financial resources. Am I able to get finance at the lowest cost? Am I able to, you know, like take advantage of opportunities to invest money? Just having the resources is not enough. See, you take the case of Kingfisher, that the failed example. The resources were there, but the capability to run the resources, to use the resources to run a fantastic airline, that was not there. Because somewhere down the line, some mistake was being made. And that is why the capabilities are very, very important. And here we come to, I've just defined this for you. Okay, the resources have to be used in a way that best serves the firm's goals. This depends on the way the resources are deployed. A good leadership is able to do this. The physical resources like machines should be used to make the best product. Financial resources have to be used judicially. That means you cannot take money and overspend it. You cannot use money to basically buy the wrong sort of things. And IP should be safeguarded and used for the IP is the intellectual property. Any patent that you have, any trademark that you have should be safeguarded and used for the benefit of the company and the deployment of staff. So quite often when we I used to work in a bank. So we often felt that the right people were not being posted, to the correct places. So the HR department would post people here and there. And at the end of it all, we would feel that, no, this posting is not good. If they had done this posting in this way, probably the bank would have gained more. Each branch would have done better. So this is the concept of capability. And then we come to competencies. So competencies is defined as the cross-functional integration and coordination of capabilities. That looks very complicated, but let's try to break it down and understand what it means. So competencies are cross-functional integration and coordination of capabilities. How are we going to understand this? Cross-functional. So when we say function in a business, what do we mean? When we say function in the world of, let's say, management and business, we are referring to those specific areas which together run the business. So you have the manufacturing and operations, you have marketing and sales, you have quality control, you have finance, you may have many other, you may have a legal department, you could have a department which is looking after entirely patents and all, that's different. But these broadly are the functions. So when these different departments are able to work together as a team for the common goal, the company is considered to have the competency to succeed. So the capability is there, the resources are there. Competency will be when I am able to actually take these different functions, make them work together beautifully, and run the business in the best way that it can. And if it is doing that, the company is said to be competent. Yes, it can deliver. This company has the ability to actually give what it promises to give. Like, for example, Amazon said that we want to connect people online and make sure that you are able to buy anything that you want online. Is it able to do that? Does it have the competency to do that? If I go to the Amazon website and I try and I find that, yes, I am able to find whatever selection of goods that I want, and I am able to buy it, and I will say, yes, it has the competency. If Axis Bank says that I want to provide the best financial services to customers, I go to the bank, I ask them to give me a loan. They go through the process of, looking at how good a borrower I am. They sanction the loan. They give it to me. I am satisfied. I say, yes, this bank has the competency to give loans. So whatever the bank or the company promises, if it is in a position to give that, you say that, yes, they have the competency. So we understand resources, capabilities, and competencies. Now just look at this. I'm just giving you a simple example of comparative advantage. You take Apple. Apple, what are the, just a minute. Just let's look at this part, operations and manufacturing. Okay, before I show you this, actually it's too late now for that because I've already shown it to you. But anyway, in the case of Apple, so anybody uses an Apple phone?
Yes, sir.
And you use it. Fine. So if I asked you that what is the competitive advantage that Apple has, and I give you these 4 points, which we said are very important, the 4 functions: operations, quality, marketing, finance. And then I ask, where is the competitive advantage for Apple? So, one, is there any thought you have which is not expressed here about Apple? Harsha?
Compared to others, sales is less.
Sales is less. It's one of the most profitable companies in the world.
Profitable company, but compared to other products, other phone products, sales are less.
Sales is less in India.
Yeah, price is more. So
Price is more. You're taking a perspective from India, but for Apple, India is just one market.
Yeah.
If I look at Apple, first of all, it has no debt. Look at this. It's a debt-free company. See, the competitive advantage that it has is that it has innovative products. Everything that it has designed came as something new to us. Other companies then, for example, I find today that if I buy a OnePlus, it has switched over to the same Apple type of navigation. A lot of the navigation which you do in a OnePlus is very similar to the navigation which was there in Apple for a very long time. But there was something good about it. When it came, it was innovative. The products are excellently designed. And because of that, you end up, most customers are willing to pay more for it. Apart from the fact that the durability is good and all that. Now look at another side. The company owns chip manufacturers, controls manufacturing, follows extremely strict software standards, and operates its own stores. So that means that it is in a position to maximize the profit margin by controlling each and every element in the chain. So the actual production of the phones, the actual manufacture of the phones, that it is controlling. It is, since a software is a very, very big part of, let's say, mobile phones, it is managing to maintain a very strict software standard so that you don't find that, Apple phones normally, there are never any quality issues. You normally find that it is excellent that way. And how does it manage to do this? It has a community of more than 6 million independent software developers creating applications for Apple products. So basically, as far as the operations and quality control is concerned, this is one. Now the marketing and sales part, it has a network of suppliers, developers, and business partners, which together give it a terrific advantage over other companies. Now, this is what competitive advantage means in the case of a mobile company. Now, if I take you to, let's say, a different company, let's say Maruti Suzuki in India. Can you think of, if I have the same concepts here: operations, quality control, marketing, finance. In place of Apple, I'll show it to you, but let me see since Maruti Suzuki is familiar to you, can you think of what competitive advantage Maruti Suzuki has?
Cheapest car.
Once again?
Indian markets are cheapest car. Maruti Suzuki.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is that it is price. Acha, theek hai. Price is one factor. Anything else?
The parts are available in a state.
See, when you say cheapest car, I will say that, Tata cars are cheaper. See, for many models, for example, if you look at Desire and you look at the equivalent of Desire in Tata, that is cheaper than Maruti. So price is competitive, but not the cheapest, in my opinion. But can you think of any other things which give it an advantage?
Advantage is market is open market. Raw materials is available in Maruti Suzuki parts.
Subir, I can't hear you properly. When you're speaking, you'll have to come closer.
Sir, I tell you, Maruti Suzuki parts are available in anywhere.
Excellent. The service is very, very. Yes, Shashi, what are you saying? Shashi, were you saying something? So, Subir, you were saying that the parts are easily available anywhere. I can get a Maruti car repaired almost anywhere in the country. So, the service support is very good.
Yes, sir.
One. Okay, now let's look at, I looked at some of the, the other things here which are important. So, look at this operations manufacturing, the quality of cars in terms of design, fuel efficiency, durability, and price is excellent.
Yes,
Out of 15 top models in terms of sales in 2019, I just randomly took 1 year. Maruti had 10 models, number 1 to 10. So if I take the top 15 cars in India in terms of number of cars sold, I find model wise, if I take it, then I find that Maruti has 1 to 10. From 1 to 10, they are all Maruti cars. And again, between 11 and 15, there are 2 more models. So out of 15 slots, 12 go to Maruti in terms of sales. And that is one way of saying that the public accepts the quality in terms of each feature of quality. Design, fuel efficiency, durability, everything is great. Now, the other part is, advantage is, good technology because of the Suzuki connection. If you remember when Maruti came to India, the biggest advantage that it had when it came was exactly this, that it had technology which was not available in India prior to Maruti. So we only had, let's say, Ambassador cars and Fiat cars, Premier and all that. Maruti comes, it brings new technology, but it did not stop there. Over the years, it has continued to, bring in better and better technology and continue to actually do very well there. The other aspect is, see, comparative advantage can come from this area. It can also come from this, the network of sales, the excellent service network, what Subir was saying, very low maintenance costs. And you can do it anywhere. And apart from that, in a capital intensive industry, where capital intensive means you need a lot of capital to set up the industry, this is another company which is practically debt free. It has managed to earn so much over the years that it does not have to rely on debt. If you are not relying on loans, you are saving on interest. That is one advantage that you have. And there is no fear of defaulting in payment. So I just gave you 2 examples to show you how these things impact the comparative advantage. Because if you have comparative advantage, what it shows is that whatever strategy the company is following is correct. That is working. And because of that, the company is prospering. So that's one point there. Then let's look at some of the components of strategy. One is this concept of product market scope. So you make a product. What is the scope for selling this product in the market? Are there people ready to buy the product? If there is, you are making a product which you can sell, then you in the technical word, you say that there is product market scope. Which products will the company manufacture? In which market will it sell these products? So when I say which market, it is not a physical market. So basically, I'm speaking about a market segment in terms of age, income. It can be anything. It can be geographic location also. It can be about people in a particular profession. Existing players who the company will compete with and the products that they offer will have to be considered. So when you have made a product, you've decided in which market segment to sell it. Let's say I make hospital equipment and I decide to sell it to different hospitals. Now at that point of time, I'll also have to consider who are the other players in the game. Who are the other people who are actually selling the same equipment? So that's my first thing. And can I do it better than them? Second is, do I have a comparative advantage? What you were discussing. So it can arise from technology, design, human resources, marketing and selling capabilities. Like we just saw that in the case of Maruti, we spoke about excellent dealer resources, dealer networks. The third is your competency. So all good companies have what is known as a core competency, something that they do better than other companies. This gives them their comparative advantage. And finally, we come up to the point of synergy. Synergy means that there is a positive association between the core competency of the company and the product market scope. Simple terms, it means whatever you are good at producing, at giving, there is a market for that. So it is possible for you to excel at something which you do, and the public appreciate, the public take that. So if let's say you're very good at making cars, or we gave the example of Apple phones. If I'm very good at innovation, and if like every time I come out with the innovative product, if people are willing to buy the products that I make, then it means that there is a synergy between the competencies that I have, the capabilities that I have, and the market. And if that is there, then I am going to be a success. Now, here I am giving you an example of how a product market scope can be developed. So this is a simple example which I just thought of myself, and later on we look at actual examples. So let's say that I start a company and I have this patent for a washing powder that is very eco-friendly. So in many places they say that if you allow detergent water to go into the river, through the drains and all that, it damages the let's say the fish begin to die, other forms of aquatic life, they tend to they are badly hit. So let's say that I come out with a washing powder which is very, very good in that way. It is eco-friendly. You can dispose of it in a very easy way. There's no problem. I also have the... Subir, are you saying something?
No, sir.
Fine. And so I have the capability, I have qualified staff who can make the washing powder. My pricing is correct. Now, I look at the marketing side. Who will buy these products? Either it is going to be individuals or it will be industrial laundries. Like nowadays you have these big laundries where you can go and give your, think of a hotel, a big hotel. It is washing clothes for its customers also. So the laundry that it has, it is an industrial laundry. So that means basically it has the capability to wash clothes in bulk. So this is another market for you as far as your washing powder is concerned. Now, if you really want to take this washing powder and sell it to these people, what is going to happen? There has to be a coordination between the marketing, sales, and operations, and the product development. So if these people are able to work together, so these guys make a product, these chaps produce it, the marketing builds up a value proposition. Value proposition means, why should you buy the product? See, when a company builds a value proposition for its product, what it is basically trying to say is, it is telling the customer, why should you buy this particular product? You should buy it because it is eco-friendly. You should buy it because it washes clothes very well. That can be the value proposition for this particular company. If it is able to build up a good visible marketing campaign, and if it is able to show this, Subir, you will have to mute, I think. So, if you are able to build up, a visibility for your product, people come to know about your product, then it is possible for you to send your teams, the salespersons, to actually take that product and to sell it. Here I use another word, channel. So channel basically means you are selling it through which channel? Are you selling it through a network of wholesalers and retailers? Are you selling it through the internet? What exactly are you doing? But basically, once customers get to know about your product, they understand what the product is, they are convinced about it, they will be willing to buy it. Particularly if you are giving something extra for the same price. So that is one. And then as these products begin to sell, maybe you get feedback about how the product can be improved further. Your product R&D team improves the product more. It gives the necessary directions to the operations people here. They once again begin to manufacture as per the new specifications. And then marketing is able to again push the product in the market. The sales team increases the sales, and this goes on in a loop. So basically, there has to be a synergy between all these four pillars of the company. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is an example of product market scope. So just a minute. Now, what we'll do is, we have reached a point which, just a minute. Okay. At this stage, we'll take a 5-minute break, after which I am going to take you through, the actual stories of 3 or 4 companies which have done very well, and at different stages. We will look at how companies have modified their strategy during a crisis, COVID. How did they work during COVID? I'll take you through a company right from the time it was actually created till what it is today. And then we'll see how this company has actually performed. And we'll also look at some technology companies and see how they are. So I have 4 companies in mind. We'll look at that. We'll just take a 5-minute break and then we'll start. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
सुबीरदा, सुबीरदा, কোথায় রে বাবা?
Okay, I think we can resume now. Subir, I think, is out. Hardik, are you home?
No, sir, still traveling.
Still traveling? Okay. So, Harsha and Sashi, can you put your cameras on? Anjali is also out. I'll just put a message here asking Subir and Anjali to join in WhatsApp. Harsha, are you there? Sashikant, are you there?
Yes, sir. I am here, sir.
Can you put your camera on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I am just reaching here.
Okay. Sashikant, tell me a little about yourself. कुछ बताइए.
Yes, sir. My name is Sasikant Prasad, and I am at present I am working in Brahmanand Narana Hirdale as a housekeeping manager.
Okay, great. And where are you?
I am basically from Jamshedpur.
No, abhi where are you? Right, presently? Narayan Hridaya, in which town?
Jamshedpur, sir.
Achha, in Jamshedpur?
At Baridi area.
My Sadhuji lives in Vijaya Gardens.
Sahuji.
My Sadhu.
Oh, your Sadhu. Yes, yes. What is his name?
His name is he's Naveen Kumar Sinha. He lives there in Baridi.
Naveen Kumar Sinha.
Uh,
I think my elder brother, he knows him.
Achha.
Because he is doing work in Caste Samaj. So he knows all these things.
Great.
Actually, we are from Srivastava family.
Achha.
So there are some Srivastava committees there.
Okay. ठीक है. Anjali, you're back. Okay, good. So my 5-minute break has spilled over to 10 minutes now. Actually, this is normally what we will do from tomorrow is that at 7 o'clock we will have a 5 to 6 minute break.
Okay.
So, and then we will continue for the next 1 hour. Today, actually, because a lot of the time went into the introduction and explaining what the course is about.
Yes,
Because
sir.
of that, we took the break a little late. So, chalo, you are following the class, Sashi, na? Koi dikkat nahi ho rahi hai?
No, sir. It's okay, no problem. Sometime I'm not getting time. That's why I'm getting late.
Achha, koi baat. It's okay. It's okay. Achha. So now in this last, the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes that we have left,
Yes, sir, I have listened. Whatever you are telling, I have listened all these things.
and of course, this will be available on YouTube also, so you can go back and listen to it again.
Okay.
Apart from that, I will also send you the PPT. This PPT which I am showing now, I'll send it to all of you, so you can have a look at that also. So
Okay.
Achha, now the last part. Now I am only going to tell you a few stories. Few stories about strategy. In my opinion, this is the best part of the class. Unfortunately, the attendance is lowest now. Anyway, let me just start with the first story. All are related to strategy. What I would like you people to think is, we have discussed about the different components of strategy. When you listen to these different stories, just try to think where they fit. Where do they fit in that framework which I have given you? So I'm starting with the first one. So first story is, I'm just giving you the context. 24th March 2020, the country goes into a lockdown. Millions of people lose their jobs. Many industries come to a standstill. And the total loss to the Indian economy overall is considered to be about 10 lakh crores. Now, one such industry that was heavily impacted due to the pandemic was the dairy industry. And it cost the milk producers of India more than 112 crores per day. Now, considering this, most companies did not do so well. Obviously, there is a lockdown. There are so many problems. So many companies did not do well. But there is one company which increased its revenue by 700 crores.
Yes.
It went on to produce 33 new products. It managed to procure 35 lakh liters of milk every single day. It managed to increase the purchases of milk by 800 crores. Which company is this? कौन सी company है जो कि in the lockdown, despite all the challenges, they were still able to give a fantastic performance? So I'm asking you people to guess which company.
Related from dairy, sir.
Dairy sector.
I think Amul.
Okay, anybody else? Harsha, guess. In the lockdown, one company manages to give a fantastic performance. Comes up with 33 new products. Actually increases its sales. And the company, as Sashi said, is Amul. Now, the question that we have is, what strategy did the company follow that allowed it to do this? The challenge is huge. So, milk was considered to be an essential goods category. In the lockdown, certain categories of goods were called essential goods. And to that extent, you are allowed to continue supplying these goods. Milk was in that category. But as soon as the announcement of the lockdown was done, several businesses either cut down or closed. For example, restaurants, catering, hotels. They absolutely stopped purchasing milk because they shut down. These businesses accounted for 20% of the revenue for the organized dairy sector. From organized dairy, 20% of the actual sales were being made to these hotels and restaurants. And now these people have shut down. Even Amul sales declined initially by about 10%. Now, most of the dairy companies, they said that given these challenges, it is better for us to either shut down or to cut down, reduce the amount of milk that we are processing. And generally, most of these companies, they decrease their production and they somehow manage to survive. Now, what the difference between a really great company and an ordinary company that comes in the time of a crisis. Now, in this situation of lockdown, what did Amul see which other people were not seeing? So the CEO of the company at this point of time was a man called Rupender Singh Sodhi. So Rupender Singh Sodhi, he said that, okay, the board of Amul basically, they sat down and they discussed this. The question was, should we cut down the production like other companies? Or should we try to do something different? And they said, let us look at the problem that we have. And they said that, okay, there will be a loss of demand from the restaurants and hotels. There is no denying this. But they said that since everybody is going to be at home and there will be a general trend to eat healthy things. See, when the COVID pandemic came, at that point of time, there was a lot of publicity that everybody should build up their immunity. People should do this, should do all healthy things. And one of the ways which people often see as a good way of building up health and strength and immunity and all that is consuming milk. So what the Amul board was bargaining on was that whatever loss we are sustaining because of the let's say the close down of the restaurants and hotels, it is possible for us to make up that loss because the household sector will now actually demand more from us. And they basically banked on this. So they are making a market forecast. If the household sector is going to actually increase its consumption of milk. And as it turned out, this forecast was correct. And the result of this was that household milk consumption actually went up hugely. A homemade food trend started. Demand for both groceries and milk products both increased. And as people became more health conscious, they began to eat, demand more of these products. So to just give you an idea, the demand for cheese increased by 80%. Demand for paneer increased by 40%. And the demand for condensed milk increased by 100%. Now, look what happens. The demand has increased, but the suppliers have actually reduced their capacity. The competitors of Amul, they did not foresee this. They actually had reduced the procurement of milk. They had reduced the actual production of their dairy products. So what happens now? All the sales are concentrated in Amul. So the result is that this company is able to actually increase its sales, increase its capacity also. The amount it was actually producing, they increased that by 15%. So because of that, what happens is that they begin to make huge sales. Now look at the other aspect. This is one. So first element of strategy here is that they decided to maintain the level of production. Step one, strategic decision number one, maintain level of production. Like I said, strategy is a general thing. Now the actual planning how to do it, that will be done by the operations and manufacturing department. Okay, how actually are you going to maintain this in this time of lockdown? Everybody has to be at the plant. Where will they stay? How will they manage it? That is the plan. The strategy is simple, maintain milk production. Number two, how do we transport our milk and milk products to the different dealers, to the markets where they are required? So that many trucks are not available. It's a lockdown situation. So they began using the railways. Strategic decision number two, to change the way you are actually transporting the milk. From the road transport, you are moving to rail transport. Two. Number three, what they did was, they improved the supply chain management. Ye kaise kiya? They have a network of 18,700 milk societies, 5,000 milk tankers, 200 chilling stations, 10,000 distributors, 1 million retailers. So you can see that it's a huge, huge thing that they have. And the number of farmers who are supplying milk to them, 3.6 million. 36 lakh farmers are supplying milk. Now you have to coordinate all this. You coordinate the actual procurement of milk. You make sure that the milk tankers are available at the right place at the right time. You make sure that the milk is chilled. Chilled, usko thanda kiya jayega na milk. So it has to be chilled properly. It is provided to your distributors, to your retailers. For this, you have to know exactly where your goods are at any given point of time. You're using trucks, you're using railways, all these things together. How did they do this? Through an excellent computerized system. How did they have such a good computer system? Because the previous strategic initiative which they had taken was to invest extra in IBM computers. An 80 crore investment had been made by Amul in actually putting together an excellent, set of computers which they fed with data. So at any given point of time, it was possible for Amul to know exactly where the milk was, exactly what was being produced. And for example, ice creams were not selling. Because obviously, since the markets were closed, ice creams were not selling. So ice cream capacity was not required. So jitne staff ice cream wale the, they were shifted to different products. And all the trucks, etc., which were dealing with ice cream, they were now shifted to actually transporting milk. So ye jo supply chain wale jo aspects, this part, they were able to accurately foresee exactly where and how to manage. Now see, isme there are, from a strategic angle, what you are seeing is that they are maintaining the level of production. They are using railways apart from trucks. Trucks are there, railways is also there. They are using their computers beautifully to understand where exactly they are. And they are managing to maintain that huge supply chain without any problem. Apart from that, next decision which they took was that since we do not have the capacity, because now the demand has increased, it is more than our capacity. So what they did was they hired units which were lying idle. Just imagine this. Other units are lying idle. Amul is paying them, we will use your capacity to produce Amul milk. And they're using their idle capacity to produce the milk and to increase their production. Now, because of that, they are able to make an extra profit. And another very interesting, like what is called a fun fact, is that they use third-party, delivery companies like Big Basket, Dunzo, Flipkart, Swiggy, Zomato to sell butter, milkshake, and paneer. Think about this. So the strategy here is they are able to fix the, the actual operations. They are able to fix the supply chain management. They are able to think innovatively. And this is how they created an opportunity out of the crisis. And at the end of it all, they managed to make a huge profit. They managed to keep all their different stakeholders happy. So this is one example of how a good company can, and how strategy helps. Are you seeing the, the way this company is working now? And what strategy means? Any questions, anyone?
No, sir.
Anjali, any thoughts?
No, sir.
Yes, Subir?
No, sir. No doubt.
Okay. Harsha, anything to add here? So the point here is that when we say opportunity, remember in the beginning we said that whatever resources we have, these resources have to be used to take advantage of an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Opportunity sometimes comes to you in disguise. So this opportunity came disguised in a crisis. भेष बदल के आता है आपके पास. You have to have the vision to see. You need that far-sightedness to see what exactly, where the opportunity is. See, other people could not see it. They closed down. This company was able to see it. As a result of that, they are able to modify their strategy and then do so well. Okay, this is one example. Now, I'll tell you another story. This story is about one of the best companies in India in terms of creation of wealth and in terms of what they actually do. This company which I am referring to is Asian Paints. Okay. So now in the case of Asian Paints, this company starts off way back, 1942. And for the last 60 years, the profit of this company has grown without fail by 20% every year. So it is that good. So the person who set it up at that point of time in India, the British were there, this company is set up. The main company which was working here, funded by capital from abroad, was Shalimar Paints. So when this company first comes, in 1942, they set it up in Mumbai. The person who did this is Champak Lal Choksi. So what he did is market research. Okay, how exactly is this company? How is the paint industry actually functioning? And in the market research, he finds that there are basically two market segments in paints. One is industry, one is domestic. So in industry, he is going basically one business, Asian Paints or any paint company, will be selling to another business. Let's say you're selling to an automobile manufacturer. So let's say that Shalimar Paints will sell to Tata Motors. So business to business, or also known as B2B. The domestic component of the paint business was basically where you're selling from the business to the consumer, B2C. So when he came and he began to look at this, he realized that it is difficult for me to actually compete because I'm just starting. So where will the competition be less? So he looks and he finds that the competition is less in the rural areas. So he said, okay, let us start by selling paint in the rural areas. At least I will have one market where there is no competition. So initially what this company does is it focuses on selling in the rural areas only. In the next 10 years, they are able to reach a sale figure of 23 crores. Now you imagine 23 crores is happening in 1952. So the amount is big. And by this time, they are thinking mostly in rural, a bit of urban. Now, so the first part of the strategy which Asian Paints had was that let us focus on markets where the competition is less. So remember we were saying product, market, scope. So the product is paints. Urban market, there is no scope because this urban market is already taken care of by better companies. It is very hard for a newcomer like me to come and sell in the urban market. But where is their scope? The scope is there in the rural market because the big players are not going there. They don't want to go and do the hard work in the village. So the product market scope comes in the rural area. So he begins there, first thing. Now, how to grow from there? If he gets stuck in the rural areas, then obviously it will not grow beyond a certain point. So how does he actually change that? This he does by studying the actual products which are being sold in the market. So he finds that there are two basic products. One is known as a dried distemper that is cheap. It peels off the walls. If you use that to paint the wall, you may find that After some time, it is peeling off. If you accidentally lean against the wall, it will stick to your clothes. And it has a very strong smell. So we are talking about I don't know whether you people have actually seen this sort of distemper. I have seen it. It was very, very cheap, but it used to smell bad. And it used to once you paint the house, it used to take some time before the smell would go away. And the actual finish was powdery. So if you put your hand on the wall, you would find paint here. It would rub off on your hands. So this was very cheap. The second product was very good, but it was 5 times costly. And I can tell you from experience, most middle class people would not be able to buy this product. So these people said that if we can come up with a product which is somewhere between these two, maybe not as good as the plastic emulsion. It used to be called plastic paint, but which is definitely better than the distemper which is available in the market. We will be able to then increase or expand our sales. So they are able to come out with a product which they call the washable distemper. Washable distemper means if there is a stain on the wall, you can wash it. And the price of this is much less than the plastic paint which is available. Little more than the basic level paint, but much less than the costliest paint. So what they are basically doing is they are creating a new product which is sitting between the cheap option and the costly option. ये बीच में है. So this product they call the washable distemper. And then they begin a marketing campaign. And this the actual brand name or trademark of the product was Tractor. So it was known as Tractor Distemper. So they began a marketing campaign which was very nicely worded. It says, "Don't lose your temper. Use Tractor Distemper." You understand? So it's a very simple way of explaining to people that here is a paint product that will give you value for money. And this paint product is the new Tractor Distemper. Now, using this product, they are able to increase their revenue from this point on, from 1952 on, they are able to increase it at 21% every year. So every year their sales are increasing by 21%. And by 1962, the margin on sale for every 100 rupees that they are selling, how much profit they are making, it used to be 2%. They are now making 13%. So if you look at this, what is the strategic change they are making? The company is introducing a new product. So the strategic change here is coming from innovation. Product innovation is the strategy. And from that strategy, they are able to achieve 2 things. They are able to not only give the market a better product, they are able also to expand the market. Like I told you, initially it was rural areas. Now they are able to expand it to the urban areas. And from that time onwards, Asian Paints has never looked back. But it has not stuck to this, it did not stop here. If you look at the company, you'll find that it continued to innovate in different ways. So the next innovation it made was in sales. Normally, if you're in business, you will find that there is always a small credit period which is available to you as a businessman. If you're a businessman, you are a shop owner, you buy something. So you will find that to encourage you to buy from that company, the company will tell you to pay in 1 month's time, in 2 months' time, you get a certain amount of credit. Now, in those days, in the 50s, 60s, the amount of credit which was available, the credit period which was available to companies was 180 days, 6 months. So basically, anybody who bought Shalimar paints in those days could actually buy, sell, and from the sale proceeds, it could pay Shalimar after 180 days. So the retailer would not need any money of his own to invest. He could buy the paint on credit, focus his energy on selling the paint, and then pay the company for the paint. Now, what Asian Paints did was, they said that, look, you are paying a high price for the credit. Suppose we give you another option. Suppose we say that if you pay immediately, we will give you a 5% discount. Then your profit margin will increase. If the cost of paint is, let's say, 100 rupees per liter, if you pay after 6 months, what Asian Paints is saying is, don't buy at 100 rupees per liter, buy it at 95 rupees per liter, but pay today. Or pay after 30 days and buy at 96.50 per liter. We will give you a 3.5% discount. So essentially what it did was, it changed the rules of the game. Instead of giving them credit, they found a way of incentivizing prompt payment. So if you pay promptly, we'll give you a discount. This is the second strategic change which they made. Third change, they invested in a supercomputer 21 years before any other company in India. And it is said that the first supercomputer in India did not come to ISRO or Bhabha Atomic Institute, it came to Asian Paints. And what did they do with this supercomputer? They used it to understand exactly, to forecast demand and to look at how to manage their supply chain. And then fourth strategic change was, they removed the distributors from the selling chain. So they said, we will not have any wholesale distributor anymore. We will sell directly to the retailer. See, the moment you do this, it means you have to have the capacity to make sure that your paint reaches each and every individual retailer. There are thousands of retailers all over India. How many thousand? 70,000 retailers are there. But thanks to their excellent supply chain management, they are able to reach 70,000 paint dealers directly from their factories. And because of the fact that there is no distributor, 95% of the profit margin is retained by the company itself. So now this is where the company stands today. But has it stopped? No, it is thinking of the future. Now in paint, what they are calculating is that in the days to come, because of the very high amount of labor cost, many of us will be painting our own homes. In many places, it will not be possible to get labor to actually sort of paint for you at a reasonable cost. So it is calculated that today, if you paint a house, 65% of the cost is going for labor. With time, this is going to increase even more. So many people, especially those who are younger, will probably prefer to paint their own home, as it is done in foreign countries. And when they do that, what is Asian Paints trying to do? It is trying to equip such people in the future with the tools which are required to actually paint on your own. So that is the next part of their strategy, thinking of the future. How can we do something which will be in line with the trend of the future? So these are two examples. Next time I'll give you, tomorrow I'll tell you two more about different companies. Meanwhile, think about these two which I have told you, and so that if you have anything to discuss, we can discuss it again tomorrow. The main thing which you remember is, do not think of this simply as a story. Think of it in terms of how a company can do things in a way which gives it a competitive advantage and which allows it to take advantage of opportunities which are there in the market, but which are not visible to everyone. People are not seeing that opportunity. But the good strategist is able to see what the opportunity is and then to take advantage. Okay. So, any questions, anyone?
No, sir. I have listened a lot of things. I have know a lot of things.
Thank you, Sashi. We will continue to do this and go through the YouTube link if you want to revise anything here. And in any case, tomorrow we'll have a short revision of what we did today, and we'll also look at one or two more companies, and so that you understand this corporate strategy perfectly well. And then we'll move on to the next part here, which was diversification and value creation. So I hope the way I'm expressing this is not creating any trouble. No? All of you are understanding what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Then in that case, we'll end this discussion here today. Good night, everyone.
Yes, sir. Good night, sir. Good night, sir.
Bye, sir. और
क्या
सुबह
यही तो
हाँ
ऑफिस में
सुरदा
हाँ ऑफिस में है
आप ऑफिस में थोड़ा हम तो गाड़ी
हाँ।
चला रहे हैं
अरे इधर तो पूरा मतलब ये चल रहा है, तूफान चल रहा है।
आंधी तूफान है यहाँ भी तो आंधी तूफान पूरा हम घर पहुंच गए उसके बाद से चालू हो गया
हाँ तो इधर चालू हो गया, अभी तो हम कैसे निकलेंगे?
आज रुक जाइए वहीं पर
हाँ यही रुक जाते हैं,
मोदी को
क्या
बोल
करें?
दीजिए
हाँ
ऐसा सिचुएशन है
हाँ
इसलिए रुक जा रहे हैं क्या है? हम जब क्लास स्टार्ट हुआ ना तो हम
हाँ।
डिमना का पास
उधर
थे।
से आप स्टार्ट किए?
हाँ नहीं डिमना का पास में थे तभी
ओ
मालूम चला
अच्छा।
क्लास स्टार्ट वही हम स्टार्ट कर दिए फिर घर में आके पूरा
हाँ।
चालू तो रास्ता में हम सुनते हुए आ रहे थे जो भी क्लास हो रहा स्पीकर हम लगा लिए थे अपना हेलमेट के
अच्छा।
अंदर सुनते
हाँ।
हुए आ रहे थे और बोले यार सब ठीक है ना
ठीक, हाँ सब ठीक है।
नहीं ठीक है
अरे
तो
बोल रहा हूँ वो मंडे से लगेगा, आज भी बोल दे रहा हूँ, कल भी फिर बोलेंगे मंडे से
अरे
हाउस।
नहीं उस आप तो सैटरडे को बोल दिए ना वो
हाँ
वैलिड नहीं है ठीक है
अच्छा ठीक है।
if you will ask in Sunday that will be valid
हाँ
only
ओके ओके ओके
ठीक है चलिए तो अब जल्दी
ओके
से
ओके।
ये बहुत लेट हो गया है समझे
हाँ हाँ अभी निकल रहा हूँ,
ओके
देखते
चलिए ठीक
हैं।
है बाय
ठीक ठीक है,
गुड नाइट
गुड नाइट।
गुड नाइट गुड नाइट
गुड नाइट।
गुड नाइट